Let's continue the conversation now with TJ Rogers, the founder and former CEO of Cypress Semiconductor. TJ, it's great to see you. Your initial take on what Congress is moving forward with and whether it will move the needle.
Big question. My take is classic pork. It looks like the old Semitech did when they squandered money back when the Japanese were about to run over us, by the way, that time. This time it's the Chinese. They throw a bunch of money at it and then pretend like things are going to get better. The fact is we had a shortage of chips, and that shortage is about to end. Micron Technology makes DRAMs that are in everything. And they reported, they're going to report or did report a weak quarter. And my projection is that the other big companies will report not weak, but nose over quarters.
Yeah.
We have a lousy economy, and that's going to affect eventually the semiconductor industry. And we'll get all this money finally through Congress just about the time we don't need it.
TJ, what do you say to the companies who say there are other countries like Taiwan, like Singapore, like China, who are offering huge incentives to build these facilities in their countries, and that the U.S. simply just needs to step up and match those? You don't think the U.S. does?
Well, my response to any CEO that would say that in public would be, so we're behind in the pork war. Can you please tell me how we've ever won, how they ever won? You know, we talk about the Chinese. The fact is the Chinese leading foundry SMIC, it is way behind the rest of the world. The Trump administration assured it will stay behind the rest of the world by cutting off advanced equipment to it. In Europe, you've got a couple companies, Infineon and ST, that are important, and they've been supported with government pork forever. So there's no evidence anywhere in the world that throwing money at semiconductors creates semiconductors. Having a Silicon Valley, having competition is what creates semiconductor companies, not government pork.
What then of the national security argument? The Pentagon just this week said Javelin missile systems, which the U.S. has been sending over to Ukraine en masse, now they're trying to restock the stockpiles here in the U.S. Each one of those missile systems uses 200 chips. We simply don't have them. What do you say to the government that says we need those facilities here in this country? We need them fast. If we have to pay money to get them, it's important.
I will speculate that in order to ask a question that you know is meaty, that you maybe misstated a little bit what they've said, because anybody in the government that says we don't have 200 chips for a missile is outright lying. We have everything covered we need with military semiconductors. They typically are 10 years old, not state-of-the-art, not these new plants we're talking about. It takes 10 years to get into a military system. They're already obsolescent by the time they start using it. We have all the capacity we need times 1,000 in the United States to make military systems. I sincerely hope no semiconductor CEO said that. I'd call them out in public.
So if this bill ends up becoming law, do you think it's a net benefit for the country and for the industry, or do you think it ultimately ends up hurting them?
No country, no area in the world, China or Japan or Europe, has thrown money successfully to build semiconductor companies. So step one is, I don't think we ought to take money from people. And we didn't all talk about the inflation that this government overrun is going to cost and how every American is going to get taxed to pay for this. We didn't talk about the fact that take just Intel. And Intel's a great company, in my mind, one of the greatest companies that ever existed. I'm not knocking them. Last quarter, they did an annual rate of $74 billion in revenue, $34 billion in profit, and I looked this up, and they got $37 billion in cash. They don't need the government's money to go forward. Obviously, they'll take free money. It's in their shareholders' interest. It's not the interest of the American people. It's the wrong thing to do. And like I said, by the time this stuff comes online, it's going to aggravate a recession, which is going to start a semiconductor recession, which is going to start. All things are showing that within the next 2 quarters.
Well, ultimately,
don't spend the money. Don't take it from people and give it to rich companies. I don't see why you're doing that.
Ultimately, these companies answer to their shareholders. So we will see what happens from here. TJ Rogers, we appreciate your perspective in your summer seersucker on this Friday evening. Thank you so much.